Hello and welcome. I'm Bruce Last, a content attorney at CEB. And if you're here, it means you're preparing for one of the most challenging and rewarding milestones of your practice, the California Legal Specialization exam in estate planning, trust, and probate law. Congratulations on taking this important step. At CEB, we know it takes dedication, persistence, and a lot of preparation to get to this point. And to support you, we've gathered insight from 3 practitioners and CEB contributors who have been right where you are now. Each of them has taken the exam and generously agreed to share their experiences with you, their strategies, encouragement, and what they wish they had known before they sat for the exam. As you watch these clips, listen for what resonates with you. Everyone approaches the exam differently, and hearing a variety of perspectives may help you refine your own path forward. On behalf of all of us at CEB, we wish you the very best in your preparation. You've got this. And now, let's hear from those that have been through the process before.
My name's Chelsea Suttman, and I'm a partner at Harrison LLP in Burlingame, California. To begin, in terms of the specialist exam, it's an excellent opportunity for folks that have a dedicated and demonstrated background in trust and estate planning, as well as trust and estates litigation. In terms of why I personally took the exam, I first and foremost have been blown away by the quality of the legal professionals who are certified in the state of California. This practice area, along with many of the other specialty areas that are offered as certified specialization exams, really speak to the high quality of the practitioners in that area and also the incredible niche and the specialization required to effectively practice. And I have never been surprised at opposing counsel who is professional and well-read, up-to-date, and knowledgeable, especially when they have that certified specialist designation. So I knew I wanted to join that group of professionals. In addition, I think it can be a really helpful marketing tool. When you're speaking with clients and you're trying to share with them that you have dedicated your legal career to this specific area, there's no better way than explaining that you actually decided to sit for an optional second bar exam. So that normally goes a long way towards demonstrating your long-term commitment and knowledge in this practice area. In terms of the preparation itself, I asked many professionals about how they prepared. Most of them suggested doing a preparation course. I did the preparation course through CEB. I understand that there are several courses that you can choose to take. The items that are helpful in a preparation course include having lots of sample questions and answers for you to prepare with. In terms of multiple choice, I've seen lots of multiple choice questions. Those are very important too. It's really the essay prompts and responses that will help give you a great understanding of whether you're meeting the mark with your written responses or if there are certain areas that you need to focus on more. My practice doesn't include litigation currently, so I do complete estate planning and trust and estates administration. I have tangential experience with litigation, but I also don't normally handle conservatorships or guardianships. And so those that are areas that I knew I needed additional resources, guidance, and practice with how I would handle the situations included in the essays. So that is my biggest piece of advice. Make sure that your preparation course includes lots of sample questions and answers so that you can get a good understanding. In addition to that, I actually read most of the probate code, which seems crazy, and I certainly didn't do this all in one sitting because it's quite dense. But as we would review in the prep course different sections of the probate code, such as conservatorships, I would go through that section and try to tie the concepts from the outlines and from the presentation back to the probate code. You are allowed to bring in a probate code to the examination. It can't be annotated, but the more that you touch and manipulate the probate code, the more comfortable you will feel with the probate code when you are sitting in a large examination room and you want to check just one more thing in the document that you're allowed to bring in. In terms of time for preparation, I believe that the course began in May, and there was a weekly lecture. And then as we moved through the summer months, the lectures ended after 12. Let's see. I believe the lectures ended by September. And in September and October, it was multiple choice practice questions and preparing for the written essays. So each week there were a certain number of multiple choice practice questions to work through and a certain number of essays to complete. And it ended, that was the end of the course, was just completing those two types of practice materials until you sit for the exam. I can't stress enough that as many times as you can really force yourself and dedicate the time to writing out the full essays, the better able you will be to grade your own work and understand if you really are grasping the concepts or if you need to revisit those outlines from your lectures. I thought the professionals that completed the lectures and the CEB materials were very knowledgeable. I came away with great outlines that I could translate for studying purposes. And there were plenty of practice questions and multiple choice. So I believe May through the end of September, I sat for the examination in early and mid-October, and that was plenty of time to prepare. In addition, I've always practiced exclusively in this subject matter area. So since I received my license in 2012, I have been a trust and estates attorney. If your practice isn't 100% in this area, or if you're coming into this area with fewer years of experience, I had about 7 or 8 when I sat for the exam. It just might mean that you need to spend a little bit more time with any of those subject matter areas that are reviewed as part of the lecture. So some of the things that I felt really comfortable with, but some of my counterparts might not, perhaps some of the business succession planning concepts, some of the advanced estate planning concepts that have a little bit of tax complexity. Those might be things that you allow for extra time when you're reviewing the materials. This can easily be reversed if you are used to planning and you don't litigate, spending a little bit extra time with certain causes of action and ways that you could compel either a trustee or various beneficiaries to do or not do something with a trust administration. Last but certainly not least, the advice that I wish I had received before taking the certified specialization exam. When I sat for the exam, a lot of professionals who had received their specialization, often a decade before I sat for the exam, stressed that if you practice in this area routinely, every day, if this is really where you've dedicated your career, you should have no problem passing the specialization exam. I disagree. I think that this is such a niche practice area, and there are so many different avenues that amazing professionals can go down that don't include all of the issues that could be on the exam, that it's really important to make sure that you go through each of the lectures with a fully open mind and add things to your knowledge repository so that you're prepared for all kinds of different examination questions. I definitely didn't allow any of those pieces of advice to give me an overabundance of confidence for the exam. I really stayed dedicated to the timeline and process that was set out by my preparation course. But I think it's important, even if this is your primary area of focus, to take the exam really seriously and understand that your experiences might be focused on one specific area where you would absolutely be an expert and knock out of the park any exam question that you received, But there are other areas where you might not feel so sure on your feet. And this is a great opportunity to do two things. Number one, prepare really well for the exam. But number two, certainly expand your knowledge and your ability to either find the correct resource for a client or to guide your client down the correct path, even if you don't end up adding any of these other areas to your day in and day out practice. I recommend the certified specialist exam for anyone who has really dedicated their career and has a demonstrated interest in the area of trust and estates. The preparation is a wonderful process. And I am confident that anyone who completes the preparation and really dedicates the time will be successful on the exam, and you will grow as a professional.
Hey, I'm Nicole Ramos Takemoto of Candelaria LLP, and I was excited to talk a little bit about my experience with the specialization exam. I took it a few years ago, and there were a lot of things that I didn't know ahead of time that would have been useful. And so I'd like to share that experience with everyone and also talk a little bit about the reasons that I took the specialization exam. So one of the things is, and at the time, I had already been practicing in trust and estates for maybe 13 years or so. And even though I had been already working in this field, I noticed that there are certain matters that come up all the time, typical fact patterns that I work with almost daily, definitely weekly. And there are other types of matters that don't come up as frequently. So I saw the specialization exam as a way to make sure that my knowledge was well rounded. Especially in those areas where I did not see those types of matters come to my office every day, it was a good way. It was a good way to keep my education up to date by preparing for the exam, and also having the certification is a way to communicate to clients and my colleagues that I did attain, a certain level of knowledge. I also wanted to make sure that I was giving the highest level of service to my clients. And the specialization exam is not a requirement, but it does require commitment, and it does show that it's important to you, the attorney, to have a little something extra, to devote more time to a certain practice area. So that was my reason, another reason for the specialization exam. I also wanted to build trust and credibility with my current and future clients. As I mentioned, becoming a certified specialist is a way to communicate to the public that I have met certain practical experience requirements, and also that I've attained a higher level of knowledge in my field. So, for all of these reasons, I decided to take the specialization exam. Um, how did I prepare for the exam? There are a lot of self-study courses available online, and I believe there are some live preparation courses that you can sign up for. I did a self-study course which consisted of pre-recorded lectures, and that was convenient for me because I could do it in the evening or on the weekends. I could work it around my regular working schedule. So I didn't have to clear my calendar for a live course or anything like that. While I was viewing the pre recorded lectures, I would make outlines and flashcards for certain areas that I know that I didn't know off the top of my head, that I knew I would have to think about a little bit and also memorize more. In that way, I had outlines and flashcards to review, periodically in the days leading up to the exam. Whenever I had some free time, I could look at my flashcards, And that was a really good way for me to memorize specific substantive things that would probably be on the exam. And I knew what to expect as far as the subject matter because of the preparation course. It was helpful in guiding me to say, these are the types of questions you might get. So I knew what to study. What did I wish that people told me about the exam ahead of time? It was a challenging day of testing. It was many, many hours of, mental and physical work. So I would recommend that people make sure to get a good night's sleep, eat a good breakfast in the morning, take the lunch break and eat a good lunch. Because if I recall correctly, it might have been like 4 consecutive hours of testing with a break and then another 4 hours of consecutive testing. It required a lot of stamina. And I didn't know what to expect the day of as far as that kind of demand. So it would be helpful to know that ahead of time, to understand, what you have to do, what works for you individually to prepare for that kind of day.
Hello, my name is Simon LeBleu, and I'm a certified specialist in estate planning, trust, and probate. I took the most recent exam that was administered in October of 2023. And for purposes of this video lecture, I'm going to provide my insights, my tips, suggestions, and tricks on how to best prepare for the exam. So my background, I practice traditionally in the transactional side of estate planning, where I do predominantly estate planning. Or you feel like it was a bit of a more of a practical connection between what I've been doing and what will be tested. I did I did use as many of the resources I could find online, including an in-person class, and I'm hoping that through CEB's lectures and content that it could help put you in the same position as put me to pass. So the exam is going to consist of 5 major subject areas. First area is professional responsibility, tax planning, estate and capacity planning, administration, and transfers by administration or otherwise. So that would be more informal transfers. The exam has 8 essays. Each is broken up into a 2-essay section. So you'll take 2 essays at the same time and you're allotted 1 hour. So for time management purposes, you're allowed 30 minutes per essay. And then you're given a 5-minute break and you do 3 of those blocks of 2 pair essays. And then you take a lunch. So, and then there are multiple choice questions. The bar exam grading on this is as I was instructed from my other classes, it's graded very similar with regards to the percentage you need to pass. And so again, for purposes of today's video, my tips, insights, and suggestions are also going to be like, well, what I wish I had known, as well as what I'm glad I did go into this exam with. So having the book that you're going to use, I use the McGovern annotation book. You don't want to write in that book while you're using it. You get the 2025 version, you're going to be just fine. And just kind of get a sense and a feel for the flow of how the code is laid out. So if you do need to refer to it, which I found that I try to only refer to it during the multiple choice as needed. So there are 76 multiple choice questions, and you are allotted. I want to make sure I get this right. So the questions 1 through 38, you're offered 76 minutes, and questions 39 through 75, it's 74 minutes. So it's a total of 75 questions. So at the bat, a little under 2 minutes a question. So having an idea of the flow of the code book, I found to be very helpful, especially the 16 and 1700 sections dealing with trustee duties, trustees' powers, trustee responsibilities. What I think I might have done, and this is what I would have told old Simon, is it is not the bar exam. So preparing for it during weekends and evenings, so long as you give yourself, probably 2-3 months in advance, it's going to put you in a good position, especially for those that have been practicing longer. When I took the exam, I had been right at that minimum in order to be able to submit the application after a successful pass. So I'm assuming there are people that are going to have been practicing longer than I had. So I'm sure you're going to be in a better position than I was when I took it. The essay portions, I started at the call to question and then worked my way back up. You get 30 minutes for the essays. Each essay, again, are 8 essays. So time management was, I think, more difficult than the actual content of what was being tested. So if you got down, for example, the 6100.5 or the 810 through 813 sections, which deal with capacity for a trust versus a will. If you have those down, you're in good shape. It's just trying to pump that information out within a 30-minute span, which is probably the more difficult part than actually understanding what that code section is really trying to get at. You don't need to cite cases, but having a frame of reference for cases, it doesn't hurt, especially for incapacity sections. I think that was always really helpful. So you got to think, okay, the examiner, they're drafting this exam, and they got to go through multiple iterations to make sure it's perfect before it gets ready for the October 30th date. So any cases that are probably been out in the last 12 months, you got to think it's probably not going to be part of what they use to build the exam. So if you do thread some of that, it'd probably be icing, but I don't think it's mandatory. For the multiple choice, you want to definitely answer every question. That one I thought was more like the bar because they were the questions. You after you taking so many, after doing so much practice with the multiple choice in preparation for the bar exam, you can kind of tell what a bar exam looks like, even if you don't exactly know what the answer might be. So then at least you can hopefully eliminate the ones that have the word like shall or all. Those are generally not going to be the answers. Not saying they're never not the answers, but that was helpful for me. And I noticed like, okay, these are very much like bar exam questions. I think if you're only a new practitioner, it doesn't mean you can't pass. And I think if you've been practicing for, let's say, 20 years, it means it's an automatic pass. I think going through the exercise and understanding the lay of the land with regards to the California probate code within all of the different divisions, and understanding the major code sections that are on those 5 sections, those 5 topic areas. And the state bar does a really good job in breaking down which topics within each subject area is going to be tested. So having a flashcard for each subsection for each subject area is good. So for example, under the PR subject area 1, there's a 1.1, which is duties to clients, opposing counsel, and the court. Just kind of having that down is great. And going through each of these. So just studying these 5 subject areas broadly. Could you pass? Sure, but is it more of a lock that you're going to pass in going through each of those sub areas? Yeah, I think that's definitely worth your while to do. CLA does a really good job of doing updates. So maybe looking at those updates on the back of the quarterly for those volumes that are from, let's say, 2023 to 2024 might be a nice place to just look and see if they're going to test on any hot topic areas, especially, for example, what is required to amend a trust. We see that was recently decided at the California Supreme Court. So just staying up with current events, I would say, from the last exam to this one up until about a year, because it takes probably about 6 months to a year to actually get this exam in written form. That's what I've been told is not a bad idea as well. The CEB also is a fantastic resource if you have access to OnLaw. Just looking up all these subject areas and all these subsections under the subject areas is not a bad place to start. And CEB makes it very easy to print those areas too, and it's very organized in their chapters. So we going through one of the chapters, let's say on incapacity. And then you see like, oh, there's a sub part in that chapter that looks very similar to this sub part under the subject area that it's going to be tested on. Print that out, and then build a little summary build a little summary or build a little flashcard out of that was helpful for me. So yeah, that was my experience. I felt like I wasn't crunched for time, but I could feel that if someone wasn't prepared, it would feel like a crunch. And again, your first section has 6 essays. So if, let's say, essay 1 and 2 or 3 or 4, you're looking through them and you're feeling stronger, I wouldn't go so far as looking at, well, you're gonna actually have a break between 1 and 2 for 5 minutes. So you gotta either pick which one you're gonna start with, number 1 or number 2. And then there's a break, and then 3 and 4 essay break, 5 and 6, and then that's a big break for lunch. So I had a water just outside the room, and I had like a Cliff Bar or something, and that was really helpful just to kind of make sure that I was doing a good job at staying hydrated and staying focused and dialed. Nice thing too, the positive perspective is that you can take this exam as many times as you want or as you need. I know people that are hard to, even if they pass, they like to go through the process and take it again. And so I think, unlike the bar exam where you need to have it to actually practice, just that positive perspective, like, hey, if I don't pass, I can take it again and again and again. I think that takes a little bit of weight off, and something to consider when you're preparing for it is like, listen, I'm gonna study hard. I'm gonna do my best. But again, if I end up not passing, that's okay. And I think that kind of lightness actually allows for a better platform to just be more dialed in the midst of the exam. Because sometimes we go back to how we felt during the first bar exam, and these are similar menu items but totally different. The bar exam, if that's the entree, this is like the dessert. So again, same restaurant, just drastically different parts of the menu. And you'll notice that as you're getting through it, it's like you have those same initial jitters as you're in it. You're like, okay, no, this is actually more approachable. One of my law professors, when he was explaining about the initial bar exam, has always stuck with me. And the bar exam is an inch deep and a mile wide. This one, I would say it's a quarter of an inch deep and 5 miles wide, because they got 30 minutes to test on an essay, and that's not a lot of time to type when you got to read the prompt. The prompts are still fairly decently sized; they're about half to 3/4 of a page. And so you still got to review, you got to outline your response. So that's why I like to start the call to question. And I felt like that helped me kind of just start typing. And then as I'm reading it, I'm typing my answer. And that's how I think, best to get through the essays. Multiple choice, you either know it or you don't. But if you don't know it right away, that's why you have your code book with you. I think most of the specialist exams allow you to bring a code book. Make sure you pick the right code book. And if you have a code book with writing in it, don't chance it, because they're going to ask you to open the code book up when you're doing it. And if there's writing in it, don't make this all for nothing. And then all of a sudden, now you're getting dinged because there's a writing in it. So you can have one highlight in there. I wouldn't chance it. Get a new code book. Make sure it's an up-to-date code book. That would, I think, put you in the best position to pass. And just, again, having the code is like a peace of mind. If you need it, it's there. But hopefully you don't need to turn to it, because, again, we are under time constraints. And I found the code book was the most helpful during the multiple choice. So my insights, tips, and tricks, and perspectives. Again, I think this is a healthy challenge. And it in the middle of the exam, it didn't really feel like the bar exam, even though it's administered by the California bar. The exam is a drastically different animal, and so I think that puts everyone in a position to win. And if you look at the most recent announcement, I think the pass rate was 74.8 across all specialist exams. So I think the power of positive thinking and perspective really does carry the day in going through this while studying for it, while also living our lives and practicing and having families and other commitments outside of the law, because the law is not everything we do. We have lives. We're humans, and this is just a nice feather. At the end of the day, this exam is a feather in the cap, but it also establishes your seriousness to the practice in this arena. So I wish everyone well. I think those that are obviously watching this video are serious about it, so you're already on the right foot. But you don't need to, just because it's administered by the bar doesn't mean you need to treat it like you did the first bar exam. But you do need to give it some level of seriousness, because they do test on a wide breadth of information. Thank you very much. And again, my name is Simon LeBleu.
We hope these insights have given you both practical guidance and encouragement as you continue preparing for the estate planning, trust, and probate law legal specialization exam. Remember, the process is demanding, but you're not alone. Many have gone before you, and you have the expertise to join them. From all of us here at CB, best of luck on the exam day. We're confident in the work you're doing and the success ahead.